Most people have never heard of the single-wing barndominium. That's about to change. It solves 5 problems no other retirement design touches. One hallway, one roof line, no stairs anywhere ever. A primary suite on one end, a guest wing on the other, and a kitchen and living spine holding the whole thing together. Architects call it the quiet retirement design. Not because it's small, because it's honest. It doesn't try to impress anyone. It just works for decades without asking you to renovate it later. By the end of this, you'll either be sketching your own single-wing floor plan, or you'll know exactly why it's not for you. Both are worth a few minutes. Let's go. A single-wing barndominium is exactly what it sounds like. One continuous wing. One story. No second floor, no stacked bedrooms, no staircase splitting the house into an upstairs and a downstairs life. The layout runs in a line. Primary suite on one end. Guest suite or hobby room on the other end. In between, a kitchen, a living room, and a spine hallway wide enough to walk 2 people through side by side. Separated but connected. That phrase does a lot of work in this design, and we'll come back to it. This isn't a new idea dressed up in barndominium siding. The linear, single-story home is older than most countries. Norse and medieval English longhouses used this exact footprint 800 years ago. One roof, one axis, rooms branching off a central spine, built for people who needed everything on one level because stairs were a liability, not a feature. Farmers who'd worked the land for 40 years didn't want to climb steps to sleep. Retiring couples today are arriving at the same conclusion, just a few centuries later. The barndominium version keeps the honey-toned board and batten, the standing seam roof, the black window frames. But the geometry underneath is the old geometry. Wide, low, and horizontal. A house that spreads out instead of stacking up. 5 reasons this shape keeps showing up in retirement floor plans. One of them is the reason nobody expects. Reason 3 isn't about light or privacy or even cost. It's about something most people don't think about until they're 68 years old and standing at the bottom of their own staircase, groceries in both hands, wondering how they got here. We'll get to it. Start with the geometry. A single-wing home is narrow by design. 1 room deep, not 2. That single fact changes everything about how light moves through the house. 2-story homes and boxy floor plans trap interior rooms. Hallways with no windows. Bathrooms lit only by a bulb. A single-wing barndominium doesn't have that problem because it can't. Every room touches an exterior wall. Every room gets light from at least one side, and in most layouts from 2. Architects call this double aspect lighting. Morning sun on one face of the wing, afternoon sun on the other. The kitchen catches sunrise. The primary bedroom catches sunset. Nobody's cooking breakfast in shadow, and nobody's falling asleep in a room that's been dark since noon. For retiring couples, this matters more than it sounds like it should. Eyes change with age. Depth perception changes. A dim hallway that a 30-year-old walks through without thinking becomes a real fall risk for someone in their 70s. Natural light isn't decoration here. It's function. It's the difference between a house that feels alive at 7 a.m. and one that feels like a cave until someone flips a switch. The footprint does the work, not the fixtures, not the paint color. The shape of the wing itself pulls daylight into every room, all day, without asking the homeowner to do anything but choose the orientation correctly on the lot. Retirement doesn't mean living alone. It usually means living differently. Adult kids visiting for a week. A sibling staying the winter. Grandkids on school break. A single-wing design handles all of it because the geometry does the social work. Primary suite on one end. Guest suite on the other. A full kitchen and living spine in between. That distance isn't wasted square footage. It's the whole point. 2 people or 2 generations can be under one roof and still not hear each other's television through the wall. And here's the part worth saying directly. Because the shared kitchen assumption is the fastest way to lose an audience of people who have spent decades running their own household. The guest end doesn't have to share the main kitchen. A kitchenette, a small sink and counter and mini fridge, on the guest side solves it completely. Your daughter and her family can make their own coffee at 6 in the morning without walking through your bedroom hallway to do it. Privacy and presence both at the same time. This isn't a family compound. Nobody's building barracks. It's one honest house with two ends and a middle, sized for two people most of the year and flexible enough for more when life calls for it. Genuinely, that flexibility is the entire argument for building this way instead of a standard rectangle. Here's reason 3. The single-wing barndominium isn't just easier to live in today. It's engineered, almost by accident, to be the last house you'll ever need to renovate. Think about what actually changes as people age. Stairs become a hazard. Doorways need to be wider for a walker or a wheelchair. Hallways need enough width to turn. Grab bars need blocking behind the drywall, installed before the wall goes up, not chiseled in after a fall. A single-wing home already has the bones for this. One level, no stairs ever. A spine hallway that architects can width out to wheelchair standard from day one, at almost no extra cost, because the hallway already exists in the design. Compare that to a 2-story colonial, where aging in place means either installing a stair lift or abandoning the second floor entirely. There's a real number behind this. According to AARP's 2024 Home and Community Preferences Survey, 75% of adults over 50 want to remain in their current home as they age. Not a retirement community. Not an assisted living facility. Their own home. The single-wing design is one of the only shapes that makes that wish structurally realistic instead of a hope you're deferring to a future renovation. That's the honest surprise. This isn't a style choice. It's a decision made once at the blueprint stage that quietly removes 20 years of future problems. You're not building a retirement house. You're building the last house. Engineers like this shape for a reason that has nothing to do with lifestyle. It's simpler to build and simpler to keep dry. An H-shaped or L-shaped home has roof valleys everywhere two wings meet. Valleys are where leaks start. They're where snow piles up in cold climates and ice dams form. A single-wing barndominium has one continuous roof line, running the length of the house, with no intersections to seal and reseal every decade. That same simplicity carries into heating and cooling. One long, narrow footprint means the HVAC system doesn't have to fight its way around corners and wings. Cross-ventilation works the way it's supposed to, pulling air straight through the house instead of getting trapped in a dead-end room. Fewer zones to balance. Fewer rooms that run 5 degrees colder than the rest of the house every February. For the northern viewers wondering if this only works in a warm climate, it doesn't. A single-wing home actually simplifies cold climate building. Higher insulation values are easier to hit consistently across one uninterrupted wall line. Glass on the south face captures winter sun for passive heat, while the roof pitch handles snow load without the complexity of valleys collecting drifts. This shape isn't a warm weather compromise. It's a shape that behaves predictably no matter where you build it. Less roof complexity. Less to leak, less to heat unevenly. The engineering reason and the comfort reason turn out to be the same reason. A single-wing home looks finished the day it's built. It doesn't have to stay that way forever. That guest end, the one with the kitchenette and its own entrance, can become almost anything as the years move. A home office when you're still consulting part-time. A craft studio once you're not. A caregiver's suite if health changes and someone needs to be close by without living in your bedroom hallway. Some retiring couples eventually convert it into a small rental, income that offsets property taxes without ever touching the private end of the house. And if grandkids start visiting for weeks at a time instead of afternoons, the wing itself can extend, or a second short wing can attach at the connecting spine without demolishing anything that already works. The original design was never meant to be the final word. It was meant to be a strong first sentence. One more practical note. because it's the kind of detail that gets ignored in renderings and remembered in real life. Garage placement matters. An attached garage with a covered breezeway straight into the kitchen means groceries never cross open rain, and neither do you, on the days your knees remind you they're not 25 anymore. Detached garages look charming in photos. Attached, covered, and 5 steps from the kitchen counter is what actually gets used every single day for the next 30 years. This channel doesn't sell plans, and it won't pretend this shape is right for every lot or every budget. 3 trade-offs said plainly. First, land. A single-wing home is long. It needs width, not depth, and a narrow suburban lot simply won't hold it without an architect getting creative with an angled placement. If your property is deep and skinny, this shape fights you before construction even starts. Second, proportion is unforgiving. A long, low roofline can look genuinely elegant, or it can look like a strip mall if the massing isn't broken up. Porches, gable accents, and a change in siding texture at the guest end keep it from reading as one flat wall. This is not a shape to design casually. Get the proportions wrong and the whole visual argument collapses. Third, orientation is not optional. Because the home is one room deep, the long west-facing wall can take on serious afternoon heat if the site isn't read correctly before the foundation goes in. A good architect solves this with overhangs and window placement. A rushed one leaves you running the air conditioner every July afternoon for the next 20 years. None of these are reasons to abandon the idea. They're reasons to commission it properly, with someone who's actually built one before, or not build it at all. If you've spent years picturing a smaller, quieter house for this next chapter, a single hallway, one level, nowhere left to climb, that instinct isn't small thinking. It's old thinking, the kind builders trusted for 8 centuries before anyone called it a design trend. This shape doesn't ask you to prove anything. It doesn't chase square footage or impress a stranger walking through. It just holds 2 people comfortably for as long as they want to stay, and it stretches a little when the family shows up. Build for the future, not because you have to move tomorrow, but because the decisions made at the blueprint stage are the ones that save you from a renovation at 78. That's not a sales pitch. That's just how houses that last actually get built. 2 questions for the comments. First, practical one. Would a single-wing layout actually fit your lot, or does the width work against you? Second, the honest one. Out of everything covered here, daylight, privacy, aging in place, the roofline, or the flexibility to grow, which reason actually hit hardest for you? I read every comment on this channel and I respond personally, so don't hold back. If this kind of thinking, honest trade-offs included, is useful to you, subscribe. There's more of it coming, and it goes exactly this deep every time. Every time.